You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered, and this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody. Welcome back to the Doug Collins Podcast. Glad you're here. Friday's Finest. Just after the break, James and I'll be here. We got all of your Friday's Finest. Got some good stuff this week. Lots of sports, lots of other crazy stuff going on. But I got to start off with sort of breaking news. And we're taping today for Friday's Finest and the decision yesterday by the Supreme Court on affirmative action. Number one, let's take some basics out of the way here. And if you've not read these, please go read these decisions. Especially, I encourage you to read Clarence Thomas's decision, and in which he is really just lays this out in a big way. And I want you to understand. Here's just part of what he said. He said, yes, Justice Jackson would replace the second founder's vision with an organizing principle based on race. In fact, on her view, almost all of life's outcome may be unhesitatingly ascribed to race. This is so, she writes, because of statistical disparities among different racial groups. Even if some whites have a lower household net worth than some blacks, what matters to Justice Jackson is that the average white household has more wealth than the average black household. And he goes on to say this is lore is not and has never been true. Even in segregated South where I grew up, individuals were not the sum of their skin color. Then as now, not all disparities are based on race. Not all people are racist. Not all differences between individuals are ascribed to race. Put simply, the fate of abstract categories of wealth statistics is not the same as the fate of a given set of flesh and blood human beings. Worse still, Justice Jackson uses her broad observations about statistical relationships between race and select measures of health, wealth, and well-being to label all blacks as victims. Her desire to do so is unfathomable to me. I cannot deny the great accomplishments of black Americans, including those who succeeded despite the odds. Wow. I mean, look, I've been a big fan of Justice Thomas for years and years. His writing will be remembered, I think, for a long, long time. And they will never, I think, get the credit he deserves. He'll get more criticism than he deserves. He'll get more credit at times than he deserves. But he is a jurist that writes to the heart of these issues. And this is one that's been very prevalent to him. If you remember Justice Thomas in his own autobiography, that he talked about being accepted to Ivy League school based on his race in affirmative action, and he felt he was treated differently because of that. He was treated as if he didn't belong. And I think this is the problem when you simply hire, fire, admit to school, anything based on race. You look for competency. You look for those that are best. If you have, you always give the opportunity for people. If there's equal, then see what that may be. You don't ever turn somebody off because of race, or other issues in their life. But you also cannot lift them up. And that's what the Supreme Court simply said today. Now, let's also remember something about this Supreme Court decision. Never divorce the case from the decision. And I think we've done that. I'm already seeing this. In the few hours that this has been out, you're seeing a lot of people yelling. Remember that the Harvard decision was based on the fact that Asian Americans were really brought the case, were not being admitted in proportionate to the qualifications, scores, and other things. In fact, what we saw was those, if you in the pool of applicants, in the percentile of those who made it through the qualifications, what was happening was Harvard was using a system in which African Americans were enrolled at a higher rate, even if they were in the lower percentile of the total population going eligible for admission, than Asian Americans who maybe were in the top 100% of the top 5% of the percentile. So you see what's happening here. The press wants you to break this out is that there was you're picking one race over the other, minorities getting to get in. And the reality here is the case itself pitted, frankly, unfortunately, minorities against minorities. And this was what was happening. The justice said, no, you can't do this. And I think Justice Thomas goes on to actually say in his, as he writes out his opinion and in concurrence here, is it simply let's get back to taking the people as a whole where they are, their grades, all of this so that everyone has a chance, and that race, unlike Justice Jackson, who says it should be the first and foremost thing, it is not. So a lot still left to go here in this case. We're going to get back into it. I'll probably do a more in-depth deep dive. If you want to follow up on social media with me, at Rep Doug Collins on Twitter, Doug Collins GA on Instagram, you can follow this up, be a part of it. Or if you have any questions, go to the DougCollinsPodcast.com and hit that email button. Love to hear from you. Lots going on. Again, also a great case for religious liberties. A postal worker who was fired because he refused to deliver mail on Sunday was upheld, that the firing was wrong. Again, we're getting a Supreme Court that gets it back, that that there are religious liberties in this country that the government cannot overrun. And I think this was another great case of seeing that. Still a couple more cases, that'll be coming out today. Is probably you're getting this podcast. One's on the student loan program. I think the other one's going to be on not just the student loan program as it's going on, but also another issue of the businesses being able to decide for themselves on religious liberties issues on a computer case on a website out of Colorado. So lots going on. I want to spend a few minutes here talking about that, because I know many of you are, but I want you to understand the outlines. Do not just simply read the headlines from both either your conservative media or your liberal media, because the sad part about this is they're taking this case completely out of, frankly, the context in which it was decided. And I'm even seeing some social media folks, liberal social media folks, who are bringing this point out, that there are ways that you can still have diversity in folks who get into higher universities, but yet you don't do it blatantly on race. And I think that's what we've been trying to get away from for years here. How this continues on, I don't know. Well, we do know, because it is felt it's needed. And the simple fact was, what you were having here was among even minority groups. This was using one minority group against another minority group, and it's been and it just doesn't helpful. So, folks, that's a little bit on the headlines for the day. Right after the break, it'll be James and I coming back for Friday's Finest. Glad to have you with us. Hey, everybody, you know about Legacy Precious Metals. Legacy Precious Metals, you hear from them. We talk once a month. We talk about Legacy Precious Metals, talking about precious metals being part of your portfolio, how they're your navigator. Well, now they're not only navigating in a new way, they're actually giving you a new way to buy gold and silver. In fact, Legacy Precious Metals has developed a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in real gold and silver online. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped to your door. I'm more of a ship to my door kind of person. I enjoy having them with me, but they can do it either way, and you can now do it online. It gives you real access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time, anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar. This puts you in complete control of your money. This platform is free to sign up for. Just visit LegacyPMInvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and is against a volatile stock market. A true diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but a different asset class. This platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Remember, do as I have done. Go to LegacyPMInvestments.com and get started today. And now you've got a new tool to help you along in your investments. Hey folks, MyPillow is excited to bring to you their biggest bedding sale ever. For a limited time, you're going to get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. $99.99. Get a mattress pillow topper. Look, they come in all sizes. They got all kinds of stuff, blankets. They've got duvets. They got quilts. They got comforters. They got body pillows. They got bolster pillows. They got all at big discounts. And also, they're extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1, 2023, making them the perfect gift for your friends, your family, and for everyone you know. Folks, and just from a personal note here, I have the Giza Dream sheets. They're on my bed right now. I slept on them last night. Some of the best sheets that we and Lisa and I have ever owned. They are worth, at this price, they're a steal. My wife and I have bought bed sheets, linens at much higher cost. It's supposedly much higher quality. These from MyPillow are at the highest of quality, and at a price like this, you can't beat it. So go now to MyPillow.com, use promo code Collins, Collins, or call 1-800-986-3994, and you'll get huge discounts on all the MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all your shopping done while qualities last. And remember, put in that promo code Collins for these discounts. All right, folks, we're back. It's Friday's Finest. Been off for a week or so. We wanted to get you back into it today. Myself, James, our Texan by way, our burning up and hot boxed Texan right now by way of New Jersey, is always on the mic with us. Hey, James, how we doing?
How are we today?
There we are, James. We're doing good. This a lot of stuff happening today.
Listen, I gave you a bunch of. I'm sorry, this mic is not working. I gave you a bunch of show notes earlier today, right?
Oh yeah.
And I know specifically the other day you said we have to talk about the Mets because you like to be miserable, and we're definitely going to talk about them. But I think something. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, well, first off, let's find out, how is the heat? Everybody wants to know about how the heat in Texas is.
You guys know how the heat in Texas is. It's 250 degrees. I'm living on the surface of the sun. I can't go outside. I'm living like I'm like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. I'm just hiding out, waiting for something good to happen. I really, like, me and my brother went out yesterday, and from the parking lot to the store, it was like a 2.5 minute walk, and we almost died.
Yeah, it will get you, that's for sure. And especially if you're inside in air conditioning and you go outside, it's not a good thing. So, but it reminds me of is when I was growing up, of course, here in Georgia, we have, a lot of heat. We're back in the 90s, here in Georgia, but we have humidity, which is our big thing here. We have wet heat, what I'll call it. And as a kid, I used to run around this stuff all the time. I mean, I'd stay outside. But it was because I was outside all the time. I wasn't allowed to sit inside. And, and I don't want to hear, if you want to go complain, go on social media, go to my Twitter page or wherever and say, oh, you're just a Gen X, that's out there complaining. No, Mom sent us outside. We didn't get to come inside and sit and watch TV and play video games. That just wasn't an option. But now I got to give it to you, James. Because I'm in and out, and it's either one or the other. I want you to stay out or in. But this going in of air conditioning and out of air conditioning into hot is just not good.
No. It's blasphemy. I remember when my parents first purchased their house, and this is in New Jersey, okay? My parents purchased their first house together when 1998, 99, and there was no air conditioning in the place. And the first thing my dad said, he goes, I don't care if we go into $100,000 in debt. We are putting in a central air unit here. And I didn't realize how awesome that was, because I would go to my friends' houses who would just have wall units or window units. And I'd be like, we're not coming here anymore. It's July 1st. You guys need central air. I'm going home. Because it was just too hot. And that was New Jersey. I don't know how people could do it here. It should be illegal if you don't have it. It should be considered abuse to your children and your animals if you don't have a central air unit or something like that in a household in Texas.
Oh my God! Yeah, we're getting there today, folks. We definitely have it up and going. But anyway, well, aside from the heat in Texas, we do have to turn, and I'm going to get it out of the way early for James because we sort of went back and forth on the show. Of course, from a baseball perspective, I'm a Braves fan, have been for years when them and the Cubs fought to see who could lose quicker. And I've been watching them for years now. And about a month ago, the Braves were in first place, went to the Mets, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, swept them. And the Mets at the time were 4.5 games out. They are now, at last check, I want to say they're 16 games out.
I don't know if that we have to even look at it, to be honest with you. I think we should just.
But James, and now it's being gone. If you watch any sports network or you watch anything, they actually have this. The comment is this: the richest payroll in baseball absolutely taking a nosedive.
Yeah, what do they have? I think I've sent out $364 million payroll. With Verlander and Scherzer supposed to be supposed to essentially take the place of. I'm blanking out on his name now. He's literally in Texas now, and he just hurt himself. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll
something Greco or
No. Don't. Let's not do this. Let's not try to remember names when we don't. And it's so funny because he's the most dominant pitcher in baseball. Was the most dominant pitcher in baseball for like 4 years, and I can't. And he was. I can't even believe I'm blanking out on someone's name. Let's see. Rangers starting pitchers. This is so embarrassing. Let's see. Jacob DeGrom. Jesus. Okay. Anyway, so Jacob DeGrom, they were supposed to make up for that. They've done nothing close. Obviously, Verlander was hurt in the beginning of the season, and Scherzer has been suspended for whatever he's using on his hands, even though it's obviously not helping. And
you think he needs to learn to keep better?
Listen, the Mets stink. They have a huge payroll. What I do love is our owner, Steve Cohen, basically coming out and being like, I hate that this is happening. And he took a press conference. He did it in front of the people. And you can hate him all you want. He's a weirdo, whatever. But he cares about this team. He was willing to spend that much money and go over the luxury tax and all that stuff. So as bad as it looks right now, and the fact that I think somebody said, because Francisco Lindor was supposed to be our big signing, right, a couple years ago. And basically, someone compared him to a Toyota RAV4 for some reason, and saying that at least a Toyota RAV4 could take you to the World Series. And I hate it, man. I liked Lindor before, and I love him, and I know that he's got that player in him. Pete Alonso can only do so much. And the Mets, I mean, just flat out, they stink. What are they? They're fourth in their division. They were supposed to be a top 5 team in the league this year. The league.
Well, and it's just not. So, what is it, Frank the Tank?
Yeah, poor man. I think we should do the Sarah McLachlan commercial in the arms of Angel while he's just like looking like he's crying for 30 minutes. I feel so. Listen, that guy, he's been through it, man. I mean, like, I've always been a Mets fan, but not to that degree. Like, I care about football and basketball that way. But this poor man he's going through it. There's no other way around it.
As of Thursday afternoon, so we'll take it from yesterday. 17 games out of first place, 36-44.
Yeah.
They have a negative run differential of 17. I just don't get it. I mean, and you look at it, Scherzer, Verlander. I mean, again, it just goes back to the Mets. I mean, it's just the Mets.
Yeah, it is I think, and I don't want to act like, oh, woe me, all my teams do this to me, but unfortunately they do. But I think the thing is that there's this. When you're a fan of a team like the Mets, and I can name a million teams that have these problems. You know, Detroit Lions are a team that's always sad, but the Mets give you hope a lot. The Vikings always give me hope. What's the thing from Ted Lasso? The thing is the hope that kills you, right? Yeah. And then he says, no, that's not it. Well, no, he's wrong. The hope does kill you. Every year you go into something, especially. Yeah, okay, spending that much money is crazy. But that feeling of like, yeah, well, we were here last year. I mean, we're going to be fine. We have a long run to go. We have a great runway to start and then every time we show up, there's a man named, I don't know if anyone knows him, but his name is Don LaGreca. He's on ESPN Radio in New York on the Michael Kay show. They have been doing it for years. And he's a huge Mets fan. And he lives this every day. And he has to talk about it with people from New York every day. And he's losing his mind. I'm seeing him break as a man every day. And it's just so funny because like he has to answer those questions. We don't. We have to just be the ones asking those questions or whatever. But anyway, If you ever want to hear how bad it is in New York, just put on ESPN Radio on your phone, look up the app, and then 98.7 from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock, you will hear New Yorkers losing their damn minds. And it's worth it. It's a lot of fun. I miss it sometimes. I still throw it on here while I'm in Texas. It is absolute absurdity, but it also is the true passion of New York fans. But what I was saying is Atlanta, they show up to Atlanta, and they just Atlanta is like a professional Mets beater. Like, they've spent whatever money, and they barely $1, and they just show up, and the Mets show up, and they just beat the hell out of them. There's no way around it. And it stinks, but it is what it is.
Well, it just, frankly, just one of those things. The nosedive this year has been, I think, what's most amazing to me. I mean, because like I said, the Braves have a hand. Here's that. For those who are watching baseball, for me, the Braves, for the next 60 days is my fearful time for the Braves. The Braves always will either come out of it in July and August and really put everything away, or they'll go through a few weeks slump where they make it close. And that's my concern here for the Braves. But the Mets, have just, it's like they're not even showing up.
Yeah, they're dog water, and that's it. I mean, look, and here's the thing, the Yankees aren't doing well. This is your shot.
No.
The Yankees stink, move up. Bigger payroll than the Yankees this year, I believe. I think they're the biggest of all time. And
the Mets have the biggest payroll.
It's still a blank show. I don't want to bleep myself, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Yankees, though, 2 nights ago, Domingo Germán hit a perfect game. Yeah, threw a perfect game.
Germán, yeah, he was. It was pretty cool. And I think it was pretty cool is he threw 99 pitches, 72 strikes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he had 9 Ks or something like that. It was honestly, he put on a show, and of course, though, the funniest part is that it's in Oakland. They played Oakland. Now, do not say it's Oakland, it doesn't count. That's unfair. Okay, I get it. Oakland stinks. I think they have 20 wins on the season. But anyway, that's not the point.
Yeah.
There's 24 perfect games all time, but I said this to you in the notes. 2 of them don't count. They're from the 1880s. They're not included. Right. But yes, there are 24 all time. The most?
That was pretty impressive. I have to give them that.
Well, what I'm asking you is a perfect game the most impressive feat in sports? I have another one only because it's only been done once.
I think hitting the cycle in a baseball game is pretty impressive, and it's one of those. It's been done, but it's not done all the time. Perfect games, yes. Perfect games got to be up there, ranked with. There's no other. I think here's the problem with a perfect game. When you look at it, there's nothing else in my mind in other sports that compares to it.
Well, there kind of is. And I'm not going to.
What do you think?
All right, let me. This is the basketball fan coming out. A quadruple double is the only other thing I think that compares it, and I'll tell you why. Because both require your teammates, right? I could say Wilt Chamberlain. That was the one I was going to put because Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points has never been done since. But 7'1" versus 5'4". Come on.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been repeated since. 100 points in a game is probably never going to happen again, and the closest we've been is 81. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
But a quadruple-double is the only thing that compares to a perfect game in the fact that they require your teammates. Because there were 2 plays last night that could have gone either way. I'm sure there was a bunch, but there were 2 specifically. There was a shot that somebody snagged, and I'm just saying, that, if he doesn't get that, he doesn't have his perfect game. In a quadruple-double, you need 10 assists. I guess technically you don't need the assist, but that would be almost impossible. So I'm just saying that's the only one that compares, and I think there's only been, 6 quadruple-doubles in the history of the sport where there's 24 perfect games. Now, it's a much older sport, and you're including the 1800s, which is insane to me. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. So that's the only one I think I can compare to it. I don't think there's anything in football. I guess 300 yards.
Nothing really.
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Now, baseball and basketball into a little bit of basketball, but baseball and them are unique in the fact that the individualized accomplishment is much more obvious, know, than in a football. There's a receiver can say they've got 20 receptions in a game. Well, they wouldn't have got it unless somebody threw them.
Correct.
A runner maybe a 300-yard game. I mean, now there may be something from the.
You need slip plays. Yeah. No, there's a million different reasons.
Yeah. I want to go back to something real quick because I was looking this up as we were talking. You talk about the payroll on teams. Mets and Yankees are top 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then, Atlanta is number 8. What I thought was really interesting here, Tampa Bay, who is leading the division by multiple games, is number 28.
Yeah, I think what did they spend, like $12 to start the season?
Yeah.
They don't have any money. And this is listen, we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, but there have been multiple occasions, many times, where teams with a low spending limit on the beginning of the season do well. Because it's not about spending $100. Listen, you make huge mistakes if you spend that much money sometimes. I don't know if the Yankees would say it, but Giancarlo Stanton hasn't exactly lived up to the money they gave him.
Well, here's your example. Tampa Bay, who is leading who has the best record in baseball, by the way, but even above the Braves, their payroll is roughly $76 million. Now, to put that in perspective, the Mets payroll is $344 million.
I'm no good at math.
The Mets are almost outspending Tampa Bay $300 million.
Yeah.
The Yankees are outspending them $200 million, and they're behind them by 10 games.
Yeah. Listen, and all right, the Yankees, though, I'm sorry. I have a real thing. I know that their bats are not hot and all that, and you can give me all the excuses you want. They don't have Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I agree.
He's been hurt. I know that they weren't perfect with him, but that's an insane. That's like, oh no, we lost Michael Jordan, so I guess we can't play. But we have to average, 45, 50 wins on the season. No, you lost Aaron Judge. You lost your best player, the dude who's providing you runs. I don't know. I find it insane when people complain about it's like, oh well, we should be better. No, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can talk about baseball all day, and I know we could, but I feel like I have to bring this up.
Well, I agree. Well, let's also let's stick with the baseball theme here and go to what I call our stupid animal tricks of the month, and that is vegetarians are trying to change the name of the Macon, Georgia Bacon mascot.
The
Macon, Georgia. Yeah, this is a minor league baseball team in Macon, Georgia. They call the Bacon. Bacon. Okay, I'm not making this up.
What I don't understand.
But the vegetarians are wanting to change the name.
Remember when vegetarians were just kind of quiet and alone somewhere? They were eating like rabbits. What I don't understand is like, it's clear that one of the healthiest diet. There's two great healthy diets, right? Yes, there's a plant-based diet you can live off of, and I'm sure it saved a lot of people. But like when you want to get in great shape and you want to be in a perfectly fit human being, meat is on the diet. It's on the menu.
Yeah.
It's part of what we are. It's part of what we do. We've always eaten meat. Maybe I'm not a scientist. I don't know if we did it way before. I don't know, and I don't care. Point is, the bacon's delicious, and I don't want to have this conversation about vegetarians trying to take it away from a baseball team. I don't understand. You're not. The pig is not a minority, a group that's been taken down by society. It's a pig, and it's delicious, and he knows that.
Peter doesn't care. Look, I think I've told this story before. And you can look this up on our social media. I don't know if I've talked about it here on the podcast before, but if I haven't, I'm going to now, so get ready for this, James. When I was in Congress, about the second year I was in Congress, we had PETA was, and the very serious thing, you've rode along highways all across the country, and you see the roadside signs or crosses or whatever that talks about people who've been killed in car wrecks, okay? You see them, some are more formalized, some are just, makeshift memorials. Well, PETA a few years ago had announced, it's about 10 years ago now, that they wanted the state to authorize putting up signs if a animal hauling truck, such as a chicken truck, turned over, which was the impetus for this. The chicken truck turned over and they lost a lot of chickens that were being hauled to the slaughterhouse. And this became a story and people wrote on it. And I'll never forget, we were discussing how do we react to this in my Twitter feed. And one of our, one of my staffers, his name was Gaines, he came up with, he said, here's what we do. He did a takeoff of It's a Wonderful Life. He said, every time a chicken dies, America gets its wings.
That's the top 5 slogan of all time. That is the top 5 slogan of all time. I'm getting that tattooed on my neck tomorrow. That is so good.
It was perfect. I mean, it went viral, and we got complaints. But folks, who care? I mean, it's a baseball team.
Can we
get a grip?
We can go down this road for a second. I grew up in northern New Jersey. Okay, you grew up in the South. Hunting is part of your culture. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
It's not as much by me, but there are plenty of people who hunt. We have the woods, so people hunt. If there are woods, people will hunt. End of conversation.
Yep.
I am not someone who grew up with it, okay, at all. If I saw, how do I put this? When I was younger, it would upset me if I saw someone shoot something. I'd be like, oh no, blah, 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 whatever. But as I've gotten older and I continue to eat food, I'm aware of how important this is. And yeah, do I want to know anything about how they slaughter my cows or my chickens? Not really. I don't really want the information. Now, if it's bad for me, yes, I want to know. Otherwise, listen, it's not the most ideal thing for a cow. I know that. I think we all know that. But it's part of our life. It's part of what we do. It's part of how we live. And sure, can I go and eat grass for the rest of my life? Probably, if I wanted to. But I don't. I want to eat chicken. I want to eat steak. And I definitely want to keep eating bacon. And
yep, I mean, you put bacon on anything, James. I mean, ice cream, anything.
I used to work as a cashier / cook. I had all the jobs at this one place, and the lead chef who was teaching me to cook and do stuff, he goes, "You ever have bacon ice cream?" And I'm not a small person. I looked at him and I was like, "I'm pretty fat, but I don't think I've ever had bacon ice cream before." And he goes, "Let me show you something." And he gives me a bit of it, and he goes, "Just try it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. One more thing to add to the list of things that I'm going to eat the rest of my life." Because it's such a crazy idea. Somebody was like, well, bacon's good on this. Why wouldn't it be good on this? And the answer is yes to all of it.
The answer is just yes.
Yeah, the answer is, hey, how's the bacon? Yes. That's crazy. Listen, first of all, we need to remember how awesome minor league baseball is, and to have a team called the Makin' Bacon, it's almost as good as every time a chicken dies, America gets its wings.
It's just classic. It's been there forever. So folks, I mean, get a life. This is
get over yourself.
It was just so much going on here in that one, but I had to lay it out. I've got another one though. It falls in the category of just only in America do we have some of the dumbest criminals. Okay, a man in Indiana robs an Indiana woman at gunpoint and then asks her out on Facebook. Can't make this up. A woman in Indiana who police said was robbed at gunpoint outside her home says she was later asked out on a date by her attacker. In a twist, the police said the suspect also told the woman he would pay her back. According to the Indianapolis Police Department, the victim was getting mail outside her home during the early morning hours of May 8th when she saw a stranger, later identified as this Damian Boyce, walking up to her. The warrant said that a woman was asked if she lived in the home. The victim responded yes and asked the man if he needed help. He pulled out a gun. Boyce then told the victim he was going to break in her home, court paper said. She told him she had nothing inside, but that she had money in her car. The victim then gave Boyce about $100 in cash. Boyce then asked the victim if she had a boyfriend and asked her to connect with him on social media. While pointing the firearm at the victim, the male asked her to add him as a friend on Facebook so he could pay the victim back for the money he stole. The male then gave the victim the name of Damian Boyce. Boyce pointed to his Facebook profile, asked the victim to add him as a friend, the police said, and she complied. I thought if I maybe added him on Facebook, he would leave, and he did. Boyce then fled the scene on a bicycle. According to court papers, Boyce accepted the friend request invite and then sent messages to the woman. "You're too pretty to rob," she told one of the messages read. She also told the outlet that she responded, "I believe you, man. I can tell you're sweet. Sometimes just get rough. I know that." After that, she said he sent her another message asking her to come chill. The victim said she didn't respond. She didn't immediately call the police about the robbery, but after speaking with the boyfriend, decided to report the incident. Identified at a police line, the boy's faces charged 1 count of armed robbery, 1 count of felony possession of a handgun. I think he ought to add 1 count of being stupid in public, and he remains incarcerated on Monday on $7,500 cash bail.
Don't forget 1 count of true love, Doug. That's a legitimate Family Guy sketch. Imagine. I mean, listen. If there is one way to get someone's number, it's at gunpoint. But I can't imagine being in that situation. Like, first of all, being so desperate for money that you're robbing someone in the first place, that sucks. I'm sorry. But to have the gall at the same time, to then you have to think of this man's thought process. He's like, damn, I really need that money in that purse. But she is kind of cute, too. You know what? I still got a gun in my hand. Look up my Facebook. Think about that whole, that's the whole process he went through. And then was dumb enough to give it to her thinking, well, she won't report this. I'm only going to give her my name and my Facebook. Literally handed the police. I love it. Sometimes you go, man, people complain about the country they live in. Not us. We get the goods and the bads. And this is a good thing for us, not for him, but for the rest of us, it's hilarious.
I mean, just like that's why I love America.
I also love that he fled on a bike.
Yeah, it's about like the one we talked about a few months ago that the 2 idiots got in the car and couldn't drive a stick shift. You gotta love it. Hey, moving on, another one off of your notes. Ryan Seacrest looks like he's going to replace Pat Sajak. I have a question. Don't you think Vanna White's going to get ticked?
No. Vanna White's got stacks of money. She doesn't have anything to worry about.
But I found this out. She makes $3 million. Pat Sajak makes $15 million.
Yes, I'm aware of that. But she knows that, and he knows that, and they've already done the math. She also, don't forget, do you know how much they're making on the slot machines? Yeah. So apparently, Pat Sajak makes $15 million per season. Yeah. Right. And then on the slot machines, makes another $15 million a year. These people, and she's not making chump change on those either. They are swimming in money. I think she had real estate deals with her ex-husband. She made I think she's worth a little bit more than Pat Sajak, which is hilarious. Can I say something real quick about Pat Sajak?
Yeah.
He is my favorite host because I think he hates his job. Now, hear me out. Have you ever seen him interact with people?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
He let's say I feel like I'm gonna finish what he should say, but he'll be like, "Oh, there's no vowels. That's too bad." But really, in his head, he's like, "Oh, you're a moron. You're the worst player we've ever had on this show, and I hope you don't ever come back." Every time he talks to someone, I feel like he's like, "I can't wait to leave. I can't believe I'm still here. It's been 50 years or whatever it is, 30 plus years." He's my favorite person because he's never been like, "Oh, that's too bad." It's like, "Oh, you're an idiot, and what you do is pointless, and I'm a millionaire." I get that vibe from him, and Seacrest is going to come nowhere near it.
Oh, I agree. Well, and right now, folks, if you've never heard some of Pat Sajak's famous just sort of dismissals, we're going to play some right here for you for just a second. And here's Pat Sajak at his best. All right, James. I mean, he's just cold-blooded.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He is the coldest host of all time. Like,
and he's gotten worse as he's gotten older.
Worse.
I mean, what was it? He's just gotten worse. I mean, and worse or better, however you want to look at it.
There's a couple of times where I think he has wanted to use words that you just can't even use in public, like let alone television. Like,
I agree.
You can see it boiling up inside of him, where he's like, "This person says D instead of F," or something like that. Like, if this person said, or like when they get the or when it's like seems pretty obvious up there and they just get it wrong, and you can tell he's like, how did you even get on this show? But
I think, and part of that is they only work, and I didn't realize this till they started talking a little bit about Pat Sajak and everything. They only work 4 months out of the year.
Oh, and he still makes that money?
They tape like 2 months, I think it is, or something like that. They tape like 5 or 6, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, or maybe it's 4 weeks a year or something like that. I don't know what but they'll tape all day, for these episodes. And I bet you some of his coldest remarks come on some of those days when they're sort of like at the last wheel after 10 episodes that day.
Yeah, it's like, he's like, oh, please get this person. Their energy is too much. He's rooting for them to land on bankrupt 20% of the time. Like, he's like, oh, you have $30,000? Bankrupt, you suck. He wants it. He wants to say it. But Seacrest is going to. Here's the thing: Seacrest is going to be fine. He's just going to be fine because Seacrest does everything. He's already worth $1 trillion. He basically, what is he on radio like every single day?
Oh yeah, he does radio. He does the. He took over the American Top 40.
Yeah, he did American Idol and basically made it what it was. I mean, Colin and them were everything, but he was the one who made the. Interviewed all the people that are like, I can't believe I didn't get picked. My music's good. I'm like, no, you sing like a stuck pig. But anyway.
Well, and by the way, I have to throw in here for Seacrest. Seacrest is a Georgia boy. Grew up and went to high school about 50 miles down the road from me.
Ryan Seacrest is from Georgia?
Yep, Dunwoody High School.
Did he burn his accent? Or, like, what?
I got no clue. But
how many miles from you?
About Dunwoody's about 55, 60 miles.
Look, I can hear you coming from a mile away with your accent, and I know when you hear my Jersey nonsense, you're like, "Oh, there he is," or the "How you doing" nonsense.
Forget about
it. But
how you doing?
Seacrest. Oh man, that probably takes training. Good for him.
Yep, they did. Anyway, all right. Before we finish out here, though, we got something we need to talk about, and we're going to talk about this with Chan Gailey, Coach, coming up probably in the next few weeks when we get Coach back on to discuss the new season. But just announced, and it looks like Indianapolis is going nowhere again as usual in football because they've just had 3 players suspended indefinitely for gambling. And I was one of those, I'm going to have to be honest with you, James, that I thought, okay, this is pretty simple. I may not agree with it, but you just can't vote. You can't bet on
football game.
Pro football. You can't bet on college football. If you want to bet on horses, okay, whatever. Yeah. But you can't. Now, come to find out, and I was listening to some sports commentator about this today, that there possibility of some of these folks are getting suspended for betting not on pro or college football, but they're getting suspended for actually doing other bets while they are on team property. So,
what do you mean? They're doing a basketball game on Indianapolis's field.
Yeah, while they're in the clubhouse, they're in the training room or whatever.
Who cares?
Now, they walk outside to their car, make the same bet. Nobody says anything.
These guys are making $300 million. They should be able to bet on whatever they want outside of their game.
Well, the question's becoming now, though, is the NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA in particular, NBA and NFL in particular, have absolutely lost, if they had one, a moral leg to stand on when they have now basically adopted the gambling industry. I mean, again, fine. You're not hearing that from me saying is a bad thing, but you're just saying, look, how do you all of a sudden partner with FanDuel, DraftKings, you partner with MGM, you partner with all these folks, and they're all over the NFL Network, they're all over ESPN, they're all of this, and then you have this hyper. I get it, not betting on pro football. I understand completely.
You have inside information. It's the same reason.
You play against them, you do it. But they should be able to bet on anything else. And this goes back to my one, and I think we just need to come up with the T-shirts for the Doug Collins podcast that says "Free Pete Rose."
Yeah. Tell me about it. Listen.
I mean,
Again, we can talk about, this is one of those things that we could talk about for an entire show, and I'm with you. But he bet on baseball, and that it is what it is. So you're never going to get it back. They're never
bet. I mean, look,
never bet on himself. I think he only bet on himself to win, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right. P. Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. That's just absurd that he's not. He's too important to baseball. It's not like he killed anybody. He didn't do any. He broke the rules of baseball, right? So that's because in baseball, like they're like, we're offended. How could you do that to us? Like, he has 4,000 hits. Shut up and put him in the Hall of Fame. As far as the other thing is concerned, though, Doug, not being able to gamble on other sports because you're on the property of the National Football League, while you said in the most hypocritical way ever, they have all their gambling, they're connected to the gambling leagues. Like, that's insanity. It's straight up insanity.
Yeah.
And
it just is. And it's just nutty if you look at it, from the perspective of, I get it that you try to protect, but I made this statement out here. Sports betting in Georgia has failed for the last 3 or 4 years, mainly because I believe that frankly, those who say they want it are actually against it, and they like the issue, and they like having the sports industry, in town funding, and I say this loosely, but helping out with campaigns and helping out with other things. But it's just, stupid that we don't have sports betting in Georgia. And again, I can do the moral argument both ways, but here's my problem with the sports betting. And I even had a friend that I talked to this about. It is the sports betting industry, and there is an industry out there, folks. And you got to know this. There's about 3 or 4 that set the mark, so to speak, for the everybody. So you always hear either MGM said it, Caesar said it. Let's see, there's another Williams. But anyway, they set the mark for what the betting line is going to be. This is a science. It's not a guessing game. They don't wake up with 3 guys in the back with cigars saying, well, I just think Atlanta's going to win by 3. No, there's math, statistics, everything goes into this because they are expecting a honest game. They take into account the weird off the helmet passes. They take into account weather. They take into account everything else. But in the end, they have to have an honest game to set a line and to bet all these millions upon millions of dollars. And so they have been the first bellwether to catch cheating in these sports before anybody else. They were the ones who called it in the teams in the NCAA when they were shaving points. They're the ones that catch it. Why? Because they're the ones that watch it so much because their whole livelihood depends on a fair game.
100%. Listen, Doug, I'm with you. But the idea that like some guy playing wide receiver for Indianapolis or whatever can't bet on tonight's Mets game, like, because they're sitting in somebody's office or they're sitting in the office at the Indianapolis Colts team facilities. That's not a real. That is a made up thing. That's not real. That doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for it. And again, if you're Roger Goodell or you're Adam Silver and you guys are promoting sports gambling to every game. And maybe not. I'm sure they do in the NFL. I watch a lot of games, but it's been a while. Obviously, it's been a few months, so I'm not picturing it in my head. But during the TNT NBA games, at halftime or right after the first quarter, or second quarter, or third quarter starts, Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith are talking about their picks. They're like, "Hey, who are you picking tonight?" And they're like, "Devin Booker plus 25 is plus 2,500." For scoring 40 tonight, and I'm going to give it to him. Like, it's complete hypocrisy, and that's the NFL, and the NBA though. The NBA hasn't had any issues yet, so we'll see. We'll wait for that to happen.
Well, they did with the officials. That
was years ago. Yeah, that was.
Who caught the sports fish? It was the sports betting industry that affected the officials.
Yeah,
I mean they see it, but I mean again, folks. We're going to keep a watch on this one. This was going to be, something I think we just need to talk more about. Maybe we do a whole episode. And I may even see if I can get some of our friends from, that'll come in and talk about that very issue. Because again, the idea that it corrupts the game is as bad. Again, you don't have to understand. They depend on it being fair. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like in Vegas. That's why they depend on the dice not being weighted. They depend on, these other things and these card games and stuff, because if it's not, then, you're somebody playing it and can take them for all that they have. And that's why they get, and also, I found this out when I was looking into this industry. They have certain limits that they can only be leveraged so far. So that's why you don't see very many of, the way huge underdog and way huge favorite, because if it's really a bad bet, then they could really lose their rear end. And there's a certain amount of thing that has to be kept in reserve that they have to have on hand to cover these bets.
Right. No, I'm with you. Listen, it's the NFL. We're going to forget about it in a couple months when it all starts, and no one will care. Because
we'll see how. I can't wait to get into the next field with Coach Gailey and with some others we're going to have on talking about the Jets and
and the fact that nobody's taken Dalvin Cook yet. I just listen. I know it's a devalued position, but I watched him play football for 5 years, and he's a stud. And it's crazy that what is he, 27? Whatever.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. The two teams, and I don't care.
My two teams that need to take Dalvin Cook. 1, Dallas Cowboys. Number 2, New York Jets.
See, but they have Tony Pollard. They don't need him. The Jets have what's his name too. They got the kid Breece Hall for like no money right now. He's going to be a star. He's going to be the best running back in the league next year. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be crazy. Watch out for Carolina though.
It'll be interesting. All right, well, folks, that's about all the time we have for Friday's Finest. We've covered a lot of ground today on a lot of different things. Glad to have you with us. We'll be back, of course, next week for Friday's Finest. Say goodbye, James.
Take care, everybody.